I don't know. It's kind of baffling to me, Harry, and I don't think you should have to go to A&E because if she got it in there, she should be able to get it out. And
Definitely.
hey,
You think
guys,
so? You
welcome to
think
Double
so?
Feature
Oh
Horror
God,
Show,
you start. Jeez.
episode 23.
I told you that incompetence. Shit.
How are you all doing?
What up? What up?
Dear.
This is the third episode. No, 23rd episode of Double Feature Horror Show. For anyone who is new, what we do is we have a film discussion, and before that, where we're going deep into depth with analysis of themes, of messaging, of symbolism. My guests remind me that there's actually story to talk about that's of some nominal importance, I gather, but the main thing is we talk about themes. And before that, we have a very interesting topical discussion. You guys keep me grounded, you know. You
Good. That's what I'm here for.
yeah. We've got some interesting stuff tonight. You will notice if you've paid attention to Twitter that the thumbnail we've got in the background there is a tiny bit inaccurate. We have had a change of topic because something came up that I thought was just way too interesting, that I thought, frankly, we have to address. So we're going to go for that tonight. We were also set to have an Aydin Paladin with us. I don't know what is going on there. If she joins us, that would be super lovely, as I know she's very interested in Asian cinema. But we'll see how it goes. Oh, not just weebs, way beyond weebs. Impressive levels of detail. That's why I was trying to get her for the Korean stuff.
Well.
But yeah, hopefully Aydin comes in. That would be lovely. But in the meantime, we are joined by ever-present slippery guest, Haryan.
How am I slippery? What up, my drillers? How are you all doing?
And that crime guy. How you doing, sir?
What up, my shillers? Welcome to the channel. How are you doing? All right?
Oh, that's a fine vocal timbre, as ever.
You should be hired for voiceover work.
Yeah.
I try.
Well, fun fact, part of the whole reason we got talking is because of voiceover work I wanted you to do.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, of course.
That's some deep lore for the show, guys. That's some behind the scenes stuff.
The deepest lore.
Oh gosh. Sorry, I got a little distracted there, folks. A little distracted. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, tell you what, if you go and see my boy Haryan's Twitter, you can see exactly what that voice work I requested was.
Yeah.
It was maybe not the best use of my time.
I thought it was perfection.
I had no issues whatsoever with the time that you spent. It was well worth it.
Yes. And as is very important, chat. Hi, how are you doing, guys? How are you doing?
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Did you manage to see the film this week, chat? Did you manage to track down the lit? Okay, I mean, this might be one of those the only winning move is not to play situations.
I don't know what you mean. It was adequate. It's
I've got thoughts on it.
It was an hour and a half.
Well, 47 for me.
Oh no. Well, close enough.
Well, I don't think this was something that had us sort of rushing to recommend, but however, as we had with American Mary, as we had with the Carrie remakes, and with Army of the Dead for nearly 4 hours, films that aren't perfect, there's a lot to say about them.
It's probably more to say. Yeah. Because obviously when you have to fix a film that's so broken, you can spend like days trying to talk about fixing it. Whereas if you got perfection, why would you fix what ain't broke?
You know the EFAT boys have got time to fix broken films. I mean,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Was it The Last Jedi?
Is this our ticket to Mauler?
This must be the ticket, a one-way ticket, no returns.
strap in, guys. I'm seeing a lot of people didn't find it, and that's absolutely fine. We're going to go over it, and I'm going to be very frank. Our commentary will suffice for the experience, I think. But what I will point out, like, this was one of the things I was worried about, is that if I tried to do Korean horror for you guys to try and broaden the horizons, both for you guys and for me, because this was a first time watch for me, we might have a little trouble finding it. And that's what happened. You couldn't get the most legit version. I had to watch it on a streaming site that had subtitles, and it reminded me a lot of like the sort of early 2000s days of streaming sites.
Yeah, same here.
Oh,
I think I watched it off the same one as you did, and
yeah.
it was a bit like 2007 YouTube almost.
Oh gosh, so much. It was reminding me of like all those janky anime streaming sites.
Yeah,
You know, the really dodgy anime streaming sites. That is streaming sites for anime where the site is dodgy. I want to be very clear of that, guys. Nothing spicier than Fruits
Nothing.
Basket for me.
All right, you're not talking about Fisherman's Wife too. That's a good anime.
Absolutely not. I would never. I stick to Fruits Basket, and I've never even heard of Onagai Twins. So it's no use trying to reference these filthy things to me, Haryan. This is a family stream, and we do not discuss Cassie Massey on it. Anyway,
this is straight over my head, man. This is weeb shit.
Okay. But yeah, so one of the things that was interesting was trying to get hold of the darn film. Obviously, we had to go to a weird streaming site for it. And well, the other one is that there's quite a cultural difference with this one. And I hadn't at all. And I'm some dangerous things referenced in the chat here. Oh gosh. Anyway, yeah, one of the other things is like I'm broadening my horizons with this. I'm going for films I hadn't seen, and I don't know what's inspired me to do this, but I feel I can actually offload the entire issue onto Buzzfeed. Would it surprise you to know that I got this film recommended by Buzzfeed?
I'm completely unsurprised at the fact that I'm going to say it here, and I'm going to say it now. The only good thing that Buzzfeed do is true crime stuff. That's like everything else is utter toilet.
I never go to Buzzfeed for true crime. I subscribe to That Crime Guy for all my true crime needs.
Of course, absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, if you're not subscribed to me and you're not watching my true crime stuff, then what are you living under a rock?
Yes,
a Haryan-shaped rock.
Yes, I am.
But like that's the only thing out of entire BuzzFeed stock that I can remotely stomach, and the fact that you got this film recommended by BuzzFeed. Yeah, confirmed.
BuzzFeed loved it.
Did they? Really?
They absolutely loved it.
Okay.
Well, it's BuzzFeed. They don't have, they've got like 3 brain cells to share between the whole office. I can see them enjoying it.
And 2 testosterone bits.
Well, yeah, 2 bits of testosterone.
2 bits of testosterone. And hey, Tash, guess what I did today that your boyfriend didn't? I saved a bee.
Yeah,
what do you think of that, Tash?
She'll be excited about that. She loves the bees.
And it waved at me as well to say thanks.
Aww.
There we go.
Oh, that's a wholesome story. I like this. We're getting some wholesome stuff on this stream. We're going to try and keep it wholesome, I think.
All I'm going to say is as well, like when it comes to getting film recommendations, maybe don't follow BuzzFeed in future.
Yeah, it's that danger, isn't it? I'll tell you my thought process, guys. Is I thought, I kind of don't want to just talk about films that I've seen 50 times. Like I want to be, because I think it lets me coast a bit and take it a bit too easy. Like I want to challenge myself by watching new stuff. But sometimes there is a reason why a film is obscure. Why only BuzzFeed recommends it.
Yeah. I mean, I I'm sure we're going to talk about the film later on anyway.
We will.
I did say to Proper Horror Show during the week, I was like, I'm really excited to hear Harry's blurb, because there is no way in hell I could explain what happened in this film. So, good luck, mate.
I mean, I could. The problem was that I could follow along, but it's just so thin. There's not a lot to go into.
I don't think it's even thin. There's good stuff in there. It's just someone decided, all this cool stuff? How about we have 40 minutes of stuff that's going to be completely unimportant right at the start?
Nice.
Huh? All that good stuff. But before we get into that, guys, when we talk about it, we'll pitch it for people who haven't seen the film at all. And of course, we've got Haryan's amazing walkthrough.
Yay.
All right. But before that, we do have our topic section.
Well, my favourite thing
is
dunking on leftists.
Oh no. Oh no. Can we even see all of that? Do I need to...
Might need to do a bit of a scroll. Can I read it?
Yeah, go for it. I'm going to... Oh, if I do
there we
that,
go.
how's that?
There we go. That's
all right, guys? We got that?
That is beautiful.
Can I... Yeah, could you read it in your
creamy
best
voice?
Best creamy... Wait, no. Let's not call it that. Premium.
That's what Haryan calls it.
Premium voice.
Horror has always been political. It has always been a commentary on what is going on in society. If you're spending all your time being mad online because you think horror suddenly became woke, you don't know as much about horror as you think you do.
Ooh. Shudders.
Well, what I love about this as well is that whoever I don't think it was you that did this horror show, but...
No, it's a Gundam.
Well, no, I was going to say, it's like, why have they done a political compass highlighting things where it's like, the lib right says the first bit and then the communist says the second bit? I think I go on Reddit too much, but do you see what I mean? It's like yellow for the lib right and then red for the auth left. So I don't know why I don't know why you change highlighter color apart from to do a meme like that, but the meme there doesn't make sense. It's like the lib right would not say horror has always been political.
Doesn't make sense to me.
This was a political meme. I missed that. See?
Well, apparently. Well, no, I don't think it is. I think whoever did it just randomly changed highlighters for no reason.
You can't exactly say they ran out of ink as well.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh no, like... the yellow's run out on Microsoft Paint. Oh, I better change it to red.
Yeah, let's see what we got. Oh, yeah, chat's seen this. I was tagged in it and I got annoyed and I did a thread. I don't engage with horror Twitter all that much, guys. I try and be nice, but you get a lot of pushback sometimes. There was there was a thing about Fear Street breaking ground in one way. I'll give the shortest version of it is there's a lot of love for the Fear Street 1994 film breaking ground and doing something that's never happened before, and I kind of pointed out that had been done before. It was kind of like telling Black Panther fans about Blade all over again, and I got shouted at a heck of a lot. I never found out why I was wrong, just that people really, really believed I was passionately. Oof. So I struggle to engage with horror Twitter, to be honest.
Well, yeah,
I struggle to engage with most of Twitter, to be honest.
Well, yeah, well, the issue is that if you put out a tweet like this, you get thousands of retweets and likes. Unfortunately, our side who say no, you're wrong isn't as big because most people on Twitter are NPCs who are just like, oh, that's a high status opinion. I'll like that. Of course, everything's political. They've been told it is.
Yeah.
And obviously, kind of you got a leftist zeitgeist. So, a lot of people on Twitter with say pink hair or dyed their beard blue and their hair pink and they touch kids or whatever. They seem to be popular these days. I don't know why.
British Knight has got me busted here. Get out of my head, Charles. Yeah. So, I mean, it's an interesting thing. I feel like the first thing you need to say to this is that this is a defense that's only brought out in a certain circumstance. So this horror has always been political, is only coming out because this person agrees with the politics. Frankly, that's the thing that comes out of that. No, this defense doesn't come out if suddenly you get an extremely based horror, or you get a reading of a film that's incredibly, let's say. Well, the example I sort of talked about was if you had an explicitly pro-life horror film. Can you imagine responding to the hordes of angry tweets with, "Guys, horror's always been political. It's always been a commentary.
Exactly, yeah.
What's going on, my dude?"
Yeah, and I mean this has been the same outside of horror as well. I mean, you know, you could say a lot of people liked Joker, and I'd say it was a fairly anti-leftist film. If you're going to say it's political, I wouldn't say it's that political though. I think it was pretty. Pretty universal in its message, but you know, if the left disagreed with it, yeah, they'd say it's political. But no one was saying, "Oh, films have always been political" when Joker came out. So,
man, I just loved it because it was a good film. I just thought it was a really good film, well produced. See, I'm from the school of you know, politics is politics, right? That's where the political discussion happens. Leave it out of entertainment. Sure, you know, by all means, if you want to make a film with some sort of political message behind it. I mean, because I don't think all horror, like this person thinks, it's that every single horror film is political. But sure, you might have a director or a producer who's like, I want to inject a message in. Okay, fine, you do that. But as long as you tell a good story and I can get behind it and it's comprehensive, and then fair enough. I don't agree with this person. I mean, it has always been a commentary on what is going on in society.
Yeah, those are two completely different statements. It's it trying to sneak political into a commentary on what is going in society. Like everything has that. I think what I've been trying to make sense of this in an interesting way, and it's like it's not even. How can I say this? Isn't even saying that these politics are woke and that's fine. It's saying that the politics being woke, or let's just say the film as being extremely political, isn't even worth remarking on. It's like, oh, you can remark on it. I mean, because how can I say? I don't think I think people are genuinely reacting to the specific politics, because to be very fair to the author here, Miss Swope, it's like if I saw a film that comes out that sort of that has values and messages that I agree with, I love it. I mean, why do you think Candyman is one of my favorite films?
Because it's reactionary.
Well, it's got that in there. You know, it doesn't have a message that I struggle with, but an incredibly well done film that has a very strong message I disagree with. It's like, try as I might, if it rubs me up the wrong way, it's going to work against me. And if it's something I agree with, I'm going to be more charitable. You know, I'm partisan, like all of us are partisan, right?
To a degree, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So we sort of had this when we were talking with JXE about Doctor Who, where I sort of felt Jay had softballed the politics a bit, and I don't know. I need to rewatch that.
He definitely did.
I do think, yeah, he softballed the idea that this was less progressive than it previously was, but it was blunter and it's just more diversely cast. I mean, I think that was a softball because, frankly, the casting was deliberately political and a lot of political capital was made out of the casting. It wasn't. I mean, the go-to comparison would be, oh, I'm so sorry about this, I cannot remember the actor's name, the black main actor in Night of the Living Dead was cast completely apolitically. He was the best guy at the audition, and George Romero went for him. Similar story with Ken Foree in Dawn of the Dead, whereas Jodie Whittaker did not get cast because she's a good actress. She got cast because of a political movement for a female doctor.
I was going to say, she is a good actress, but that wasn't the main wasn't the main driving force behind it, because she's done some really good work. And my criticism of Doctor Who has never been about Jodie. I mean, to be honest, I don't even really watch it, so I don't really care that much. But I think if people criticize Jodie Whittaker, I'm more of the opinion that look at the tools that she has in her arsenal. Look at the writers that are producing, that are writing the show. Look at the producers that are producing it. Look at the the people.
Well, that's what I mean.
They're doing it with a message, but they're doing it with a political message, when in fact this is it's a long running show, and they're sort of piggybacking off of that to get their message out. And it's whatever. I don't care. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to get exposed to it. But people I like Bradley Walsh. I like Jodie Whittaker. I think they're great people. I think they're great actors, and Bradley Walsh is one of the funniest men on TV. Just naturally funny, not stand-up funny. He's hilarious.
Some high praise there.
He's a natural,
funniest on TV.
Naturally funny. Sorry, I'm rambling, but
I was gonna say
he's a naturally funny guy. But it's just not a right fit.
Well,
with the people behind the scenes.
Well, this was the thing with Jay's Doctor Who video. It's like he almost deliberately left out some of the. Because I think he went through a couple of the trailers of it, but the actual first one with Jodie Whittaker in had a literal glass ceiling being shattered.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I wasn't comfortable arguing it, because I thought I need to rewatch that thing, because it's 5.25 brilliant hours, but my gosh, I can't remember everything said. I do feel it was softballed, but
I remember with the Kablam episode, the one that's supposed to be riven on Amazon. He just completely kind of misunderstands. Well, no, he gets the message behind it, but then his answer is basically business still bad though, and it's kind of like this is this is where we disagree. Whereas when I went through the guy's whole speech, and I'm like, right, this is wrong, this is where he's wrong. The whole thing's just awful.
Did you do a video about Kablam?
I did a video about the whole season.
I did it.
I did it 2 years ago. I think I did it before we actually met. So
that was your ugly duckling video, wasn't it?
What do you mean by that?
I have this thing, guys. Okay, I think every YouTuber has an ugly duckling video, and that is the one that you've put all your time into. You're passionate about it. You put hours and hours more into making that video, and it absolutely died when you put it out there. No one watched it. Then you've got the video that you spent 2 minutes on, and you rushed out as a quickie, and it blew up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, well you could say that. There was that one, and then there was the one. You remember that one where it's like, robots is like a trans and anti-capitalist movie or something like that. I did a reply to that, but copyright BS just took it down for a week, and then it went back up but didn't tell anyone. Brutal. So that's got really low views, but people are like, wow, this is really good. Half the people it's really good, and half it are like, why are you bullying a autistic girl? And I'm like, she deserves it.
Oh gosh.
But
Savage.
But this go on.
I was going to say, British Night has kind of got to the root of what has been bouncing around my mind, is that I don't particularly think propaganda is a useful term. This idea of it's always been political, it's always propaganda. To an extent, it's a postmodern view. Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Every bit of culture carries cultural messaging, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Literally everything in it carries cultural messages and cultural norms, and that's absolutely unavoidable. And so the idea that you have neutral stories, or I know I might get pushback from this. The idea that you keep politics out of it, I don't think is realistic. But
It's impossible to make a film full of Britishers, basically.
Yeah, heaven fend. Although it was Sarlo, but and anyway, but the idea is, I think we notice it. We notice it when the cultural messaging in the politics are way outside our comfort zone. Because when Jay talked about Doctor Who always being political and progressive, I was like, I don't know, man. I watched that. I didn't really feel it, to be honest, but possibly it was just quite in my ballpark, to be honest. It didn't bother me. Whereas the new stuff, it's very far out, and I just noticed that it's really trying to move me far away from my comfort zone.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I did watch the Tennant years, I must admit, like what was it, with Billy Piper, Doctor Who, and I never got the vibe that there was a political message behind it. I just thought, that for me was probably when I was mostly into Doctor Who, but I never got the vibe that's being pushed on it now. It's a different energy, you know.
Yeah, well, this was the thing with the Russell T Davies era. There was direct politics in it, really. I mean, you had the Slitheen episode where they became the PM and members of Parliament and things like that, and trying to take over Britain from inside like that.
Yeah.
But even then, it wasn't like messaging saying, "Oh, see, politics are bad because bad people can take over." It was more subtle than that, and whole. Go on.
Like I would say, like the bad guy didn't look like the Prime Minister at the time.
No, and it wasn't. It wasn't like. Well, this is what I mean, because he outright says that in like the Spider episode of Doctor Who, Jade says that this is clearly supposed to be Trump. This is clearly supposed to be Trump, but he doesn't say this. But I say it in my video. Basically, everything he says is right, because he's like, "Oh, just shoot the giant spiders because they're trying to kill us." It's like, yes, obviously do that. But then it's like, "Oh, the Doctor's anti-gun though," and Jay goes into like where the anti-gun thing comes from, and it's basically so that he's not seen as a threat more than anything, not because he doesn't think they're effective. But when it comes to giant spiders, I wouldn't see David Tennant trying to make a weapon to stop them, or even getting guns to stop them. But what they do instead is lock them in a really tight room and let them kind of suffocate to death in that. It's really grim. Yeah. It's like, why not just kill them? So
before that, Jay's breakdown of the different objections to guns was really interesting. I thought that was one of the best bits in the video. Just showing how the Chibnall just had not understood why the Doctor doesn't like guns.
Yeah. Well, Chibnall doesn't understand the Doctor full stop. So
new.
But and then I'd say, and from there, these people I don't think understand horror, because
I don't think they do either. I mean, I don't think they're interested in it. So guys, one of my Ugly Duckling videos is the I guess 2020 Christmas special on Black Christmas. I despise it, but for you guys, for your entertainment, I went a bit mad with the size of the video. It's, I think, the longest edited video I've ever done, and I break it down, and it for me, it was showing they don't care about horror. They weren't interested in making it scary. Like this remake, which steals the name of a beautiful horror film from 1974, steals a whole bunch of famous horror shots. It's almost completely gore-free. Like they just they didn't care about making it scary in the least. It's so tame. It's like, what are you doing? But they fit in very direct politics. And when I say direct politics, it's like sorry, to finish that thought off, it's like a lot of the time when you see this horror needs more X, it's like, or the thing I used to see was stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy needs more X people, and it's like a lot of those people who get in because of that, they don't seem to want to do comedy.
Hmm.
You know,
Wasn't
they
there a
seem-
wasn't there a stand-up thing a while ago where it was literally just a woman monologuing,
yeah.
and it was like anti-comedy almost.
Oh,
And like,
Nanette.
yeah, and like
Yeah.
reviewers were like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And it's like, but it's literally the antithesis of comedy.
Mm,
Like, what? It's just no.
yeah. This wasn't funny. You stopped trying to be funny a long time. Where are the jokes?
Yeah.
You know? The other test I try and do for this, because Michelle Swebb is saying horror's always been political, it's always been a commentary on what's going on. It's like, yes, okay, so we've agreed everything contains commentary, that's absolutely fine. But my kind of line for political, because obviously everything contains political messaging, is I try to break it down to just like, how do you know if it's pushing it? And I think the idea is preaching. Like, and one of those tests is I came up with 2 ideas for how you can tell if something's been woke or politicized. And one of the tests is, does it completely take over the story? Like, do things in the plot only happen to service the message? Good examples of this would be Us and Get Out. Things
which I have seen.
Yeah, same here.
Get Out's kind of cool. I got to be honest. I kind of like it. But and the other test is just, is there a symbol? Is there an image? Is there a metaphor? Or are people, as in Black Christmas, literally just citing full-on political concepts and Camille Parlier randomly? When was the last film you heard Camille Parlier referenced in?
Who's Camille Parlier?
Oh, I need to get a life, don't I?
I'll say so.
She's kind of like Camille Parlier is like a kind of rogue feminist academic. She's way off the mainstream. It's like there's another one who's very interesting who was in feminist politics for a long time called Daphne Patai, and she wrote a excoriating book about women's studies, saying how bad it was for feminism. It's called Professing Feminism. It's very interesting. Now we're going to get off this because I think this is going a bit too specific, but I just wanted to use that idea of when you don't have a metaphor, then you're just preaching. Like, have you guys heard me talk about Invisible Man 2020?
Yeah, I saw your video on that.
Okay, cool. So like that has an absolutely amazing bit of symbolism that completely fits its political message.
Yeah.
And you do not need to agree with that to appreciate it. It's amazingly artfully done. And if you are not aware of it, it can completely pass you by.
Yeah. And you could say the same about the Joker. About Joker as well. There's a political message in there, but for me, films like that, they use politics to drive the story. Whereas, like you say, I thought you were going as if to say
no, it's a phone ringing. I'm sorry.
I think if you because again, like when you're building a story, of course you have to have in some form of way, you have to have some form of political structure there. Okay, because it's impossible. Because it is impossible, like you said earlier, to make a film completely void of it. But do those politics? Is the politics there because, like you said, you're trying to push a message as what Miss Swope is perhaps trying to suggest, or is it just there to essentially build upon and build upon? I would say that films like Joker, like The Invisible Man, they use the politics, the message as sort of like a foundation of their story. You know, you couldn't do Joker if it turned out that he was a successful, happy-go-lucky guy. You know, I mean, you probably could actually, because I mean, one of my
All he
one
has
of
to be is
yeah.
mad, really.
Yeah, all he has to be is mad. And to be honest with you, I mean, Joker's like he doesn't have a backstory, so you have the creative freedom there to do
even
what you like.
even if he did, you can do what you want.
Yeah, but
when you're adapting, it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, I
mean,
mean
need to be close, really.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the main concern when that before the film came out wasn't what kind of political message is it going to have? What's it going to say about society? It was please let this backstory be good. Please let this backstory be good.
Well, yeah. Well, and this is another thing. As we said before, usually when the political message is put before the writing suffers, which is something I was trying to say to Jay when we had that Twitter argument with him.
Right.
But he basically just said, I glaze over the politics stuff because it just seems to amount to there's more women and minorities in it and they're louder about it.
Yeah,
and my point was, it's ruining the writing.
And actually, talking about Joker not having a backstory and getting it right, Doctor Who, the Doctor doesn't have a backstory, and then they try to bring in a backstory, and from what I heard, they butchered it.
Well, yeah, they basically made him a god. It's like, oh, great. And it's like, oh, she was actually born a girl. It's like, oh, he's been a gum on the boy. It's like, I'm sorry, I don't believe 13 regenerations made them made him a shit. I mean, I hated it when they brought that in. I just don't think Doctor Who can work with the Doctor as a woman.
There might be some people in chat who are aware. If you're classic Who people, you'll know better than me. But back in the, I want to say, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy era, there was a move to do this kind of grand, mythical, big backstory, right? By a writer at the time that was effectively going to reveal in a similar way the Doctor's a god. And it was abandoned for being a terrible idea. And it's just like, oh, I guess we're doing that now. But also you can see that their motivation wasn't, this is going to be an awesome story. Their motivation was, okay, we're really angry that the Doctor's always been an old white guy forever. So we're going to actually say that canonically before that, it's like, it wasn't told the story. Sorry, if I can just pick up on this because I've got this on screen. John Garris, Fade to Black is something I'm really interested in. I saw it referenced in the In Search of Darkness documentary. I haven't tracked it down at the moment, but I'm very keen on watching it. So I will have thoughts on it, but I thought it looked really interesting. If I recall, it's about a guy who is quite horror film obsessed who wants to reenact bits of it. So very keen to watch it. Sorry.
Nice. And it probably isn't very political. Yeah. I mean, one thing I'd like to ask Michelle: what are the politics of Scream? I don't really get what's political in that because the whole thing's a meta commentary on horror rather than anything political. I think you'd be at a push to say it's a feminist film.
Obligatory Scream reference. There we go.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. But I mean, I was thinking because I'm just like I remember watching Scream, thinking, yeah, this is a decent film. Final Destination. What are the politics of Final Destination? You could probably go older. I mean, The Omen. That wasn't really that political. It was more religious.
People were having a heck of a lot of fun with it. Like, so Friday the 13th Part 2 was that about the breaking of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact? Sorry, I've screwed that up. What's it called?
What?
Yeah, the things with the Nazi. Yeah, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Yeah.
Oh, did I get it right? Nice.
Between the Soviets and Germany.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's that one. Yeah.
Anyway, as people are pointing out, it's ridiculous, and I think the thing we all got to was just it's about preaching. It's about the stuff being out in the open. You can read obviously deep themes into these films. Rosemary's Baby is very obvious about discussing women's role in society, but Black Christmas had a large argument over abortion as a plot point, and it was discussed a fair amount, but it wasn't. It actually had a balanced discussion in it. It's kind of, again, guys, Black Christmas 1974. Watch it. It's wonderful, but that was about two people and an issue in their lives, whereas the 2019 one is going to be quoting statistics and specific theorists.
Yeah.
It's literally just someone getting. There's one of the characters is literally doing a petition. To abolish the white supremacist administration.
And again, this is what I'm talking about. You know, using the politics as a driving mechanism to drive the story, or against that, just get the stats out there, get the message out there, try and enact change. Like, is your film trying to enact change? If yes, then I would consider it to be a quote unquote political movie. If there's no change being enacted and they're just using, because obviously, it's a real life situation, using it to drive a story. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Make it work. Yeah. That's all
fine.
I want.
That's totally fine.
Yeah. And I think so. This is kind of a cop out when she says horror has always been political. Like, to a degree, yes, in terms of its usage. But what's the intention behind it? That would be my opening question. Like, what do you mean? Does she think all horror films have an intentional political message? I certainly don't think so.
No. And this would be the thing again. It's like, horror's always been political. It didn't all of a sudden become woke. That's a non sequitur. Horror can always be political, but that doesn't mean it didn't suddenly become woke.
Yeah. Fez, the answer to that question is yes. Sorry.
Yeah, and horror hasn't always been.
I'm sure it has.
Well, there's one about a haunted rubber tire, so probably.
There's it's in Witcher 3.
Oh.
There's a whole Witcher 3 quest about an aborted baby.
Oh wait, no, I'm an idiot. Yes, there is, and it's Japanese, and it's called Noroi. I'll type it there for you, Noroi.
I'm not watching any more weeb shit.
It's a different flavor of weeb. I'm sorry, I should have remembered that earlier. It's so good. It's really brilliant and unsettling. I think we might be done with this.
Well, I was going to say one more thing. So she says, it's always been political. It didn't all of a sudden become woke. So yeah, but one of the most famous horror writers of all time was a massive racist, Lovecraft. He was reactionary, if anything. So in the 1800s, the most popular one was reactionary, let's say, and then it kind of went to the 20th century, and it was a bit more Christian based, I'd say. If I'm thinking Omen mainly there,
yeah, totally,
and a few more, and then it went on to kind of slashes and being meta slasher, and then obviously now we've got a load of Korean remakes. With the Korean originals obviously being a hell of a lot better and the best cinema we've ever seen. That's what I've learned from these streams with the 3 Korean films I've ever seen.
Oh dear, I tried. I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, doesn't matter. No.
Well, hopefully that was a good segue.
No, nicely done. Okay, goodbye, Miss Swope.
Debunked.
Totally chucked off. So, let's go to Lona.
Haryan,
it's time, baby.
Oh wow, we're allowed to say bitch apparently. Right, this was a bitch of a film. So, the film starts off. You've got what's she called, Suna, our main character here, half dressed as a dinner lady. Her hair isn't tied back, and that triggered me when she was putting curry sauce on the tray and her hair was in it. Well, it looked like it could go in it. And her quote unquote best friend on the left here, can't remember her name. She's just being known as Bezzy for now. She starts to get bullied by the queen bitch on the right. Can't remember her name either. Don't really care. That's her name now. So she's like, her friend's eating her dinner. Bezzy's eating her dinner. And then, queen bitch and her posse of it girls come along and start just, I felt they bullied her like a boy would bully someone. Like they were pushing her head in the food. They weren't trying to be like psychological, really. They were just calling her names and being physical, basically. Which fine. This obviously makes a ruckus. So Suna comes along and says, and basically tries to stick up for her and defend her and all that. It's not a very interesting scene. So from there, she's in the car with her uncle, just going on the way home. Again, nothing. You don't really learn anything about them. I think that whole scene's there just so you know that. Well, so that you know that she's her uncle. I just want to say spoilers from now on. We really need to start saying that earlier.
Sorry, guys. Spoilers. 4 weeks in a row. I've forgotten. Yeah, we're gonna spoil the entire movie.
I've not spoiled anything yet, but
All right.
Well, I said that about the uncle, so obviously there's a spoiler to do with him. Anyway,
I thought it was mostly because they had major flirty vibes, and they just wanted to clarify that.
I thought that was really weird as well.
Yeah.
Because they're like talking as if he's single. It's really weird. But then they get home. Well, of course he does. But then they get home, and then they're having dinner sooner with her grandmother and her uncle, and then there's a third woman who you don't get introduced to. Anyway, turns out that it's her uncle's fiance, and they're all eating dinner, and then Suna just randomly turns into a bitch, and I'm not sure why, and starts saying, "Oh, she doesn't actually like a Bezzy. She's like too smart and proper," and then she just huffs off. Not really sure why. Did either of you get why?
Hormonal teenager, maybe. I don't know.
Well, literally, I was going to say, wow, someone's got PMS. But it was a bit odd. Yeah, so I mean, that's just to set up the next scene. So for somehow, I assume this is after school or at the weekend or something. I have no idea how the timeline goes. Her Bezzy again. her Bezzy's just like confronted, and they're all in kind of like, they're not in school clothes, they're in like home clothes or whatever. She's confronted by the it girls again, by the bitch, and she's like, oh, she starts trying to give them money to get them to go away, and they're like, oh my god, you think we're beggars and whatever. Again, just awful dialogue. And it's like, oh, I want you to do something for me, and she has to go in and rob a lingerie shop. What was stolen? Like 2 bras and a pair of knickers or something were stolen. And she runs off. She hid them, yeah, and then the alarms go off, even though I didn't see any of the alarm things on them, but whatever. So she runs, and then she's chased by the store assistant.
Dedication.
Man,
she's like the T-1000.
Yeah, they did not stop. I'm like, she stole like 3 things. I wouldn't go this far. Just get the police.
I know, right? I was like,
but she doesn't. And then she's like hiding in a, like, I don't know, a dumpster or something. And she's like got a phone out trying to text Suna saying, "Please help me." And she just gets a reply saying, stop bothering me. Yeah. And I'm like,
which, by the way, because I'll forget to say this later, massive plot hole. Did we ever find out who had that phone?
Dude, this is what got me. So we'll get to that. So anyway, she's found by the store assistant and taken to the street and literally beaten in front of a big crowd.
Based.
Why no one's like helping her? I mean, you can say, standby effect or whatever it's called, where
bystander effect and
bystander effect.
Based.
I don't buy that when it's a woman beat.
Yeah, but it's a woman slapping a woman around.
Yeah,
they do it different in Korea.
Maybe. Well, I thought it was weird. So she gets the shit beaten out of her, glass, fall off and gets stepped on by bystanders, whatever. Not on purpose, by the way. And the woman's like screaming, "Oh, you've been stealing from me for ages." Oh, yeah. So then she's kind of let go. I don't really know if anything happens with the police there or whatever, but she like goes to the subway, and then you think that, I mean, at this point, because the train, you get the shot of like the train flying past as well. I thought she killed herself there.
You hear a thud, didn't you? Dum.
I didn't hear a thud. I just
heard
a train.
I heard a thud, like, and it gives you the impression that she just jumped in front of it. Fun fact.
Yeah,
I know someone who did that.
The film was that's grim, man. That's grim. The film is full of the fake outs. You notice, like, that was a fake out. There was a fake out with
ladder.
Suna in
Oh my
the-
god, this entire film is a fake out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Yeah.
We'll get to all of them. So anyway, it turns out she's not killed herself. But she's not in school the next day. And yes, as soon someone says to Suna, "Oh, here's your phone, by the way." She's like, "Oh, I was looking for that all night. Where was it?" It's like, "It's on teacher's desk." So I don't really get who sent the thing, but it's like, why establish that she actually doesn't like her best friend?
We never found out.
It's so weird. So I was like, oh, she didn't actually send that. I wonder who did. One of the It Girls must have nicked it or something. Never established what happened to
We'll
it.
never know. We'll never know.
Yeah.
Dumb man.
So yeah. So after they realise that she's not come in, what's she called? The teacher goes to the queen bitch and is like, right, go apologise to her because she's not coming into school and it's your fault.
Gonna stop you there.
Okay.
Chloe, do you have the pictures?
I don't have it. Do you want me to try and find it?
Oh, I get.
Do it.
All right. I'm going to mute. I'm going to find it. All for you. It's all for you, Damien. It's all for you.
Thank you.
So I assume you want the picture where she like puts the cane on the
Carry on.
on the net. Okay.
Carry on.
Okay. So yeah, she goes to the Bezzy's house, the queen bitch. And is her mother deaf? I could never tell.
Her mum's deaf. Yeah, her mum's deaf.
Okay, so I assume she's lip reading then, but people are just talking to her. She can understand.
Deaf people can do that.
Yeah, okay, I'm fine. I was just really confused.
I've got grandparents that are deaf. Yes, well,
but there's no.
They're dead, but yeah.
It's just there was no attempt to like sign language or whatever. So
yeah.
So
don't worry. That's perfectly a normal thing. Don't worry.
Okay, so Queen Bitch goes in, and oh no, actually, she knocks on the door, kind of says on the outside, "I'm sorry," whatever. It not obviously in a kind of I have to do this type way, and then she's just dragged in by her.
Yeah.
And her room's an absolute mess. She's got stuff like insects crawling on her skin and all that, and she's like scratching her hair and pulling it out and things like that. She's just a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously she's really like, oh my god, what is going on? This is the scariest thing ever. Queen Bitch was like that.
Yeah.
And then they have a bit of a dialogue. Who cares what the dialogue is? Point is, she slit. I found that I laughed at this bit. She gets a knife out. Oh, sorry. She like starts talking to an invisible person or whatever, and she's like, and it's like, oh, who are you talking to? It's like, oh, that person right there. So Queen Bitch turns around, and then a splatter of blood goes on her face. And then she turns back around. It turns out she's just slashed her neck open and committed suicide. And I was just, and I'm like, that's not what happens when you slash your neck, but whatever, it's for effect.
Yeah.
And then she screams and is like, oh my god. Anyway, school next day, everyone finds out she's dead. For some reason, fast forward to the end of the day. Finally, Suna's missed her phone for a whole night. She actually finally goes through her messages and voicemails and things like that. I don't know why it took her 2 days to do that, but there you go. And she hears like her friend, her Bezzy was like, "Oh my god, I'm sorry, I was so annoying" and things like that. Just before she like,
nice,
became alone or whatever. Yes, very nice. That is my favorite Korean porno.
Are you not entertained?
I am. But yeah, while she's listening to that, you see a Queen Bitch jump off from the roof of the school and kill herself.
Mate.
No one seemed to care.
No, no one seemed to care. But B, that was such a. That really frustrated me. That bit really frustrated me because it was just like it just happens in the background while she's having this like. It's just and it never followed up. It obviously wasn't followed up, wasn't mentioned or anything. It was just like, what?
Oh, she's dead, by the way. Yeah. That's the blood splatter bit.
This was the best bit of the movie for me.
Did you hear that I said I laughed?
Oh, Harry.
No,
it's okay. Guys, I'm going to spoil it. I've got an emergency Haryan action plan that I'm putting into place as a result of this film. We'll discuss it later.
If we do another Korean film, I'm going to literally scream. So she commits suicide. What happens after that? We're not even done with the first paragraph of the plot, by the way, on Wikipedia. So So after Suna realizes that it's kind of her fault that her friend died, and after the queen bitch killed herself, she starts to stay inside and become a recluse herself. And then it turns out her uncle has an old girlfriend or something that turns up again out of nowhere. This is why I think you said it's American Mary. Things just kind of happen.
It's very similar, but it has got slightly different issues.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't know this at all. I went in blind to this on BuzzFeed's recommendation. Gosh darn it!
Thanks,
Well,
BuzzFeed.
you get what you freaking deserve then. So she turns up at the office, and then she's at the home as well with the uncle, and she starts praying to Christ, and then the grandmother just comes in and starts calling her a whore and beating her. I very much enjoyed the thought patrolling.
That's pretty great.
I enjoyed that. I was laughing. I wasn't scared in any way. And and then I noticed this as well. There was shadows that moved past, and then it's like she was just screaming at her, calling her whore and beating her. You wouldn't notice a shadow walk past, but then and she wasn't looking at it, but then the shadow goes past, and then it's like, oh, and then she looks out to see what went past. And it's like, that was really weird. I was really taken out by that. I just found it funny. So then I think the idea is that it's supposed to be Suna or something. Well, she's in a trance. But anyway, then next scene, she comes out of her room to have dinner. She starts eating like an animal, using her hands and stuffing too much in her mouth. And then she just randomly starts telling a story about her uncle, to her uncle's now fiance, just telling her that there's a story a man and a woman had a baby out of wedlock, and then and it's like, but then it turns out that they just lied to me, and that I have to call my own father my uncle my whole life. And I'm just like, how the hell does she know any of this?
Wow.
Why? And it's like, okay, why she's telling it? 'Cause she's crazy now. But I'm just how do you know?
Well, we do find out later. Again, inferred knowledge. When you go back, you can go, that explains it.
Oh, right, because the twit. Right, okay.
Keep going.
Well, I didn't.
You're doing so well, Haryan.
I didn't think she turned up yet, but anyway,
you're doing a hell of a lot better than I thought you would. Honestly,
it's just well. I mean, I have to remember these stupid details. Well, she was texting me oh, how was the film? And I'm like, shit. But anyway, so and then because of this, the woman went off and had to marry a man that basically abused her all the time, and etc. etc. And then the fiance is really mad, and she says to the uncle or the father now, tell me what happened, or don't talk to me again until you do. It's like, whatever, fine. And then later on, there's a housemaid, because they live in this big mansion, that enters Suna's room in a scene or two later. It doesn't really matter, because it just shows her going a bit more insane after that. She's knocked out. I can't remember from what. And then she's just randomly put underground with a barrel on top of her with the dead dog. Yeah, with a dead dog, which turned out to be the family's dog. And there's only one mention of this dog before, which is when she huffs off in dinner in the third scene, and is I'll give my food to the dog, when she's being a bitch.
This was the point at which I told Wholesome Waifu that the film has jumped the shark completely.
It's what I like to call a cundathant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tash, just don't try and keep up. This film goes everywhere. So and it's and she's in a barrel. It's completely pitch black. There's a dead dog on her for some reason. And then the bit on the barrel that has a hole in it. That opens up. There's a big eye in it. You assume it's Suna's.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even remember what she said, but it's oh, you deserve this. And I didn't.
Something like that.
I can't. Why?
She says because the maid knows everything. That's right, guys. There's a big secret, and the maid knows everything.
So the maid knows everything and whatever. So it's okay, you deserve to be put in this really claustrophobic space with a dead dog. While this is happening, apparently, first time you're introduced to him, there's a groundskeeper with a whole security system, and he's asleep at the monitors, which is fair because it is the middle of the night. And then later on, it's like, oh, how did any of this happen? The groundskeeper's just like, oh, I don't know. I was watching the monitors the whole night. So a little thing about security cameras, they always have recordings. They record everything to give evidence to the police if they get robbed. So there's no excuse to not know what happened here. But it's just like, he's trying to say that he was awake watching the monitors the whole night when he wasn't.
No. Do you know what? I noticed this
What?
right from the subtitles. He was very sneaky in his answers. He didn't lie. He said, well, first of all, he said, I didn't see anything strange that night because, of course, he was sleeping.
Well, he was asleep, yeah.
Yep. But he also said, I was by the monitors all night.
Well, yeah, but you get the idea that he's lying to them.
Also, he had the best voice. Loved it. Like when he was like, I'm
from
scared.
a different film completely. Yeah. No one told him this is a horror. He's just going. It's like Caddyshack, right?
I felt like he should have had a 1v1 versus Bruce Lee, like one of those like minor parts. He had the hair and the small stature and everything.
I
will destroy you. And then
anyway, point being though, massive plot hole. Yeah. And the maid is the maid alive? I assume the maid's alive. After it, I can't remember.
The maid actually lives. They let her out. So
didn't they think she tripped in it or something?
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, I must have tripped in it. Whoopsie, tripped into a hole, barrel fell on top. Oh, such a clumsy maid. Oh, dead dog here as well."
We've all been there, haven't we? We've all been there.
We've all had that drunken night out. Yeah,
I guess it's what you call a barrel of laughs.
Oh, God, the whole thing was pants on head retarded. Anyway, unbelievable. So anyway, Suna's still in a room. And her grandmother's getting fed up. It's like she sees her like at a balcony, go inside. And she's like, right, I've had enough. Right, park groundskeeper, get me a ladder. She climbs up it while at the bottom the groundskeeper's holding it steady so that it's not going to fall. It's going to be fine. So she gets to near the top, and you see a pair of feet, which you again assume is Suna's. And the grandmother looks up, looks surprised, and is like, she calls her Suna, doesn't she?
Suna?
Yeah. So you assume it's Suna anyway. So she puts her foot on it, starts pushing it back, and she's like, "Oh, scared," things like that. God knows what groundskeeper man's doing at the bottom, because he'd be holding it, he'd be making sure that wasn't happening. But anyway, it is happening.
Can we call him groundskeeper Willie just for the rest of the
groundskeeper Korean? I don't know. Yeah, sure. So whatever. So then Suna pushes her grandmother backwards on the ladder, and she. It's the worst kind of fall scene after it. It's clear that she just fell backwards on the camera, but whatever. You get the idea. But then groundskeeper Willie comes off camera to get her, and it's like, you were holding the ladder. How did you let that happen?
He probably went to take a nap.
So
anyway, by the ladder.
So I read the wiki for this. It broke her grandmother's back.
Apparently. So, yeah.
And I'm like,
yes.
Okay. Now this is weird because the next scene she hears stuff going on upstairs. The grandmother with a broken back, by the way, manages to walk and get up the stairs not 12 hours after she broke her back.
All I'm going to say, oh no, she has a broken freaking neck. Never mind, ignore me.
Yeah. So yeah, I completely ruined back. Somehow still manages to get up a flight of stairs despite the fact she's like 100. Well, she's not that old, but you get the idea. So that's dumb. And then when she gets to the top, she sees Suna there. She says some dialogue to her. Who cares what it is? It's like, oh, I hate you, whatever. And then from underneath, there's a shadowy figure. Hands come out, yank her feet, and then she falls all the way down the stairs, and that's what kills her. Now I can believe that you survive a ladder fall, and then it's like, flight down, fall down a flight of stairs. I'm like, and that can kill you, sure, but I'm just like,
They needed her out of the way. Now, there's some, I don't know, this comes up pretty much next, because you're possibly asking questions now, guys. I realize this is a lot. You're probably wondering, so Suna this rich girl, she's just locked herself away in the room and no one said anything about it. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And you get a scene to answer that question. Why is no one just getting her out of the room? Forgive me the image I'm about to show.
Is this the...
It's suggestive, but it does not contain blood. But this might not be your favorite thing.
Did I miss... Okay, yeah, I missed this.
Yeah, the dad tries to batter down the door.
After she pushes her grandmother off the ladder, yeah.
And you see the arm come out and that blade, and then the blade is used briefly. It's very messy. I'm not going to do a screen cap of that, guys.
Well, can I?
Go
I'll
ahead.
Finish
Go
first.
ahead.
I was going to say, so yeah. I mean, this bit made me laugh as well. This made me laugh more than before because she cuts her wrist there, and it's kind of just like a red strip. She then she clenches her fist, and that makes blood squirt out on her dad. And I'm like, wow, that's not how that works.
she did a Spider-Man on her dad.
Yeah, it was. I was just like, wow, that is bad.
There we go. So in a few minutes, we've established that Suna is Spider-Man and Right Honourable Fez, the grandma, was Batman. That's how she was able to get by with a broken back.
Oh, cool.
There we go. So we're actually watching a DC. Yeah, we're watching a DC/Marvel crossover.
Don't say the Snyder cut. I swear to God.
Oh, do you know what? This will probably be one of the few films where I'm actually quite happy that we didn't see the Snyder.
Yeah, thank God. I don't think anything could explain the plot holes in this film. So next scene, you have a scene with the fiance and one of her colleagues, I think, because she's a boxer apparently or something. There's a short scene before where they explain what a Hikikomori. Hikikomori. So a loner is basically, and it's just basically what Suna is. So that's all you need. Anyway, turns out Suna's mum, the one that came in before to like try and ruin their lives for no reason. Yeah, there's just a line from her talking to a colleague saying, "Oh yeah, she was found dead on the railway. They think she killed herself," and it's like off screen, and I'm like,
Thanks for telling me. Can I perhaps see it?
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
Well, there's a fair reason why you don't actually see it. But so upon hearing this, the dad then puts a chair down and puts a suit on outside Suna's door and starts basically explaining, the whole thing that happened with her mother and him. So it turns out it was a father-student. It was a teacher-student relationship. They were in love. They had her as a baby, but he had to go off and fight in the Korean War. Then when he came back, it turns out that she was already married to someone else.
Can I pause you here quickly?
Yes.
Guys, if you want a really good Korean War movie, Brotherhood, a.k.a. Taegokgi. It's really good. Brotherhood. Look it up, guys. Carry on, Haryan.
Okay. And there's not really... hang on, let's see. Is there anything else? Okay, so he then goes downstairs, and then for some reason, Suna looks down and sees a spirit of her mother fondling him while he sleeps, as the wiki says. Yeah, it's not like it's just like kind of caressing his body more than anything, really. And then which one's you and me? The fiance, that's it.
Yes.
Yumi then learns that there's actually a second daughter who lives with the mother who recently died.
That's right, guys. The twist, the secret. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I can't remember how they found out that was the case, but I mean, this film's garbage. So then when she finds that out, she goes to the father's mansion where he's about to commit suicide by some sort of letter opener.
The film is big on that. Really big on that.
Yeah, and then does he see Suna just running about the place with that it's your fault? You had that screen up before.
He turns around, doesn't he, and sees she's standing there. Suna? And then he runs off and then he throws a knife and he's like, "Ah!" Does that?
I don't really remember.
Yeah, you're weird. But then just to sort of preface.
Oh yeah, he chased her.
The reason why he's trying to kill himself is because in this scene that you're seeing on screen now, he tells his whole story and she's like, he's like, what can I do to make it up to you? And she's like, what was it? Jump in front of a train or something like that, or
yeah, it's basically
just kill yourself,
kill
basically.
yourself. Yeah, that's what you have to do. That's
he was
fair.
like,
so, yeah,
what?
I remember.
And she was like, yeah, you're too much of a coward. You won't do it. And then he starts throwing the chair at the door and crying and
why don't you just? Yeah, imagine being told by your daughter you're a pussy because you won't kill yourself.
Yeah, I know, right?
Based.
So while he's chasing her, he gets knocked out because I think he gets pushed into like the corner of a table or something.
Yep.
And he's kind of like he's bleeding out, and he has some sort of vision that I don't really remember.
And it does you another damn fake out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It makes you think it fakes out to him being at a funeral.
Oh, dead. Yeah.
Can I just say as well, when the grandma got buried, right? Her coffin was nice and all flowery and all decorated beautifully. His coffin, on the other hand, was literally just a wooden box, like just bare minimum.
Yeah.
Literally like a few boxes, like hammered together. That
I can see why he'd have that in his own vision, because all he can see of himself is that he's disappointed everyone and no one would care about him when he's put in a box. So I can see that. So he wakes up. So he wakes up after that and sees his fiancée dead on the bed. Presumably killed by Suna for some reason. Who cares? And then he like, this is the weirdest house in the world. There's kind of like a glass catwalk above this fountain with a spike at the top. And he sees what he thinks is Suna, like walking across it, cracking the glass. It's the weakest glass in the world for a catwalk, I have to say. So he goes up and he tries to talk her out of jumping, and then when she falls, he then catches her arm, and then it turns out it's actually the other daughter, and then she has a go at him, and then he starts letting go because I can't remember what she says. I was just not concentrating at this point.
She was like, "Oh, Dad, you're abandoning me again."
Yeah, that was it. And he's like, "Oh yeah, whatever." Then she lets go, and then she lets go and gets the spike through her like middle, and I'm like, "Oh, that's really funny again." So after that, Suna's put in a mental facility, and then she writes a letter to her dad, basically saying, "Oh yeah, the other daughter, I met her randomly." How did they meet again?
They met on instant messaging. So after
online.
After her best friend committed suicide, she got in contact through
Hickey,
through that. Yeah.
So she was the one called Hickey.
Yeah, I assume so.
Well, that's what it said on it. So okay, I missed that whole bit.
Did you get why the daughter was so darn angry?
Yeah, because she was raped. That's like outwardly said.
Okay, good. Just checking.
Okay, so I'm not going to deny that there aren't any nonce vibes. And that there were definitely nonce vibes.
Drop your abandoned daughter on that like button.
So, but I mean, having said that, that wasn't the only thing. Because there was because when they were on instant messaging, they then went to like the school or something after dark, and that's where they met and talked. Completely forgot it. Yeah, because there was a really weird scene where she's like walking in a nightie in the rain next to a train track, and then it's like all of a sudden she's at the school. I'm like, wow, I'm really confused at what's going on. But yeah, then a letter's sent from the mental facility explaining it all, that we were both up to it. It turns out that after the mother left him really, but after the abusive father, the stepfather realized that the child wasn't his, he was then like, right, I don't care. Started abusing the mother, started raping the the other daughter, which is just outrightly said. It's not implied. Well, it's kind of implied at the start,
straight up.
But it's just straight up.
Because doesn't she turn around at one point and say, "Oh, I early on in the film, I don't know if it's Suna, if it was the friend. She's like, oh, I've been talking to someone online. They're getting abused by their dad."
She did indeed.
And it was that
one of the first things in the movie.
Yeah.
Yep. But it wasn't just that. There was also the very, very first scene where it was like this girl like under a blanket trying to like protect herself, and then this manly figure, I'll call it, just kind of comes in, you kind of get a first person view, kind of puts his head inside the blanket, and it's really weird. And I was like, wow, this is really rapey. And it turns out it was. So that's explained. So they then planned to get revenge together, and then eventually Suna was like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore because I don't want to just kill people. And then, yeah, the other daughter's like, oh, no, we have to. And then she starts hitting her or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it was actually us two who killed everyone in the house and made the maid trip into the hole with the dog. And that's, yeah, and the film ends with the dad slapping a knife on the table while it's cutting his hand, while, you know, there's insects crawling over him, showing that he's become a Hikikomori.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That is
This
it.
film,
I think that is
this film was garbage. Don't know if I've got that across yet. I've just been sent a text. I've just been sent a text by Tash. She was like, "I can't believe you watched this." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." I'm very good with my homework.
Hey, I'd criticise you, but will you watch this? So.
Yeah, Tash, we didn't know, and I can't stop watching in the middle of a film. I couldn't do that.
If I recalled before that this was recommended by Buzzfeed of all places,
BuzzFeed,
I would have just gone horror show. No, pick
What
another.
are you doing?
Look,
Pick another.
I know I could go for big name, well-known Korean horrors, but I figure like I want to step outside the box, you know. So I looked up awesome Korean horror, best Korean horror, and I found a nice list, and it was on BuzzFeed, and it had this on it. I thought, oh, that sounds nice and topical. Discussing Hikikomori, that's a nice modern theme. This will be interesting, and they say it's really good.
Never trust a BuzzFeed article.
Yeah.
Especially
BuzzFeed did say it's really good.
These 10 Korean horror films will make you say, and then emoji shocked face.
Tash, I'm not putting you through this. I've got you a different one. I genuinely like the stuff I've got for you. She's coming in for our next arc, actually. No, sorry. Arc after next. Yeah.
Very nice.
So yeah, Haryan is going to get ejected.
Yep.
Or is it? I don't know. Or am I getting ejected or Haryan?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. I just we'll keep the tension up. But yeah, that is the plot of the film, and I don't think it won any of us over.
No.
I'll be on the pale. Yeah, I needed suggestions. I needed inspiration.
She's desperate to get to 1,000 subs, so she's now trying to rally up the BuzzFeed crowd to get there.
In the same episode, we call them all leftists. And
come on, guys! I've got as much testosterone, if not just a little bit more than you. Subscribe to 1,000.
Actually, you know what, guys? Smash that subscribe button and stop me having to go to BuzzFeed. You know, help out, guys. Also, we're on 888 subscribers at the moment. That is
subtitles.
If only we're doing Chinese films tonight, that would be awesome. How
we could do subtitles.
How appropriate would that be?
Taiwan is a country. They are just lost to your Chinese audience.
Oh no, gutted. All right. So in discussing Loner, it's a bit hard to know where to start, but I suppose I could come in with
I can start.
Go for it, mate.
And it'll be really short and sweet.
Uh-huh.
Utter bollocks.
Okay. I'm still not sure where we start from there.
Well, I'll tell you what. This was not a good film. This was not. Oh, hey, Beyond the Pale. Well done. I'm getting 500 subs.
Nice.
Good man.
Nice one, Aydin.
Nice. Look, it's a tricky one, but my starting point for trying to, once I'd got over being annoyed at watching it, was this isn't a terrible story idea, but I cannot think for the life of me why this is the way they wanted to tell that story. If I'm telling you, like, there's a cool thing where, you know, someone's got a secret sister who's been thrown out into a really horrible situation, and she's jealous, and she uses the online world to reach and connect with her other sister and sort of be almost like a haunting figure, a ghost within the house. and gets to sort of be a doppelganger for her sister, enact revenge. There's a good backstory. I'll be like, oh, that's pretty epic. And it's tied into the theme of Hikikomori. Okay, that's interesting. That's how it's disguised. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But they just did not tell this story in a good. For a start, they don't even start telling that story for about 30 minutes. The first 30 minutes of the film is largely useless because the first 30 minutes is largely someone who has almost no bearing on the plot.
Yeah.
You forget that this is how it started.
Yeah,
None of the school is irrelevant after 35 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, because the school don't even like seem to ask where Suna is. And no, like the only bit that's like shows that anyone cared for any of the dead girls is like one set of flowers on a desk, on a Bezzy's desk, but literally no one cares that Queen Bitch died. And even that, it's really weird because that's rushed. Because it's like, why did she kill herself? Well, it's part of the trauma because she saw someone she bullied kill herself, but also you have that scene where kind of she hears all the whispers of everyone basically saying, "Oh, she's cursed. Don't go near her. You'll kill yourself," and things like that. And that's kind of implied part of the reason she also jumps off the roof. But it's just like, but no one cared. But then, like, literally, it's not mentioned again that she died. You see a body fall from in the background, and that she may as well have been a background character.
She may have just well not featured again for the rest of the film at that point. If you're not going to show it, then don't bother. I mean, it's supposed to be a horror film. Like, why are you doing this shit in the background?
It has no further bearing. I mean, we could trim this film. Like, the main point of the film is Suna conspiring with her estranged sister, and there's the sort of, is there supernatural stuff, is there not element. They play with that. That's not bad. That's quite nice. Ultimately, there is no supernatural stuff really, but it's kind of interesting. It's just ineptly done.
Yeah.
If you
So hang on. There's no supernatural stuff. So are we honestly suggesting that the sister put her hands up Suna's skirt, through her top, up to her face?
it is a triple incest whammy tonight.
Bruh.
We've got sister on sister. We've got daughter on uncle. And then we've got father on. It's very convoluted. This family tree is a Christmas wreath. You know, it's. Hey, Charlie Chieftain, you've just come into the chat, and I'm so sorry that this is what we got a Wincesty one again. We didn't intend to. This was a complete accident.
I mean, kind of. Well, and when you say it's an American Mary, things just do start happening. It's like, the ex-lover turns up out of nowhere. Does she ever actually mention to anyone that she's beat by her husband?
Nope. It's just relayed to us, and I don't think she has any real. She doesn't really have any impact on the plot.
She's completely pointless. She may as well have been killed. It also turns out that her abusive husband was the one who pushed her in front of the train or something. That's kind of said off screen as well.
Okay, so if we're trying to focus on this, the key focus of our story has got to be Suna, who we also end up basically, part of the structural problem is Suna abandons the rest of the film mostly to hide in her room. So your protagonist, you're basically not seeing much of. This is a story problem. So we end up, our starting protagonist was the nerdy girl who's bullied. I think it's Hajun.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Korean
Hajun.
name.
Yeah. Okay.
The Bessie. Yeah.
That's the person I thought we were following. Then she's out the film after 30 minutes. So then I'm like, oh, right, sorry, Suna is our protagonist. But then she locks herself in the room after about 50 minutes. And that's like, oh, BT Dubs, the uncle, is your protagonist. I'm like, what? No. When did
I mean,
he
you can-
become the protagonist?
I mean, you can do it. Yeah, you can do that once, but twice it's a bit.
And
And he's just not an interesting character. He is literally a plot device.
it's quite hot.
He
Do you
because
think
what
it's quite hot?
he's quite hot.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Well, I'm a man, so no.
Ah,
um,
lost appeal there.
yeah.
So
And yeah. Oh, no, I'm not going to say it on stream.
we we are oof, we're 30 minutes in, you know, like let's say one of your another big problem is I think you'd agree with this. Suna goes from pretty cool person to basket case in 5 minutes. Full basket case locked
Well,
away.
hang on.
In fact,
You missed
both
you
sorry,
missed a step here.
Okay, is it when both of them go hikikomori, they suddenly look like total troglodytes after like 2
Oh
days?
yeah, that happens in like a night. It's crazy.
It's so rushed. Yeah.
I was
What
going
did
to
miss
say,
then?
well, you missed out a bit of a character development. At first, she's like nice and sweet. Then she turns into a bitch for no reason. Then she goes a bit nice and sweet again, but sad because a friend died. And then she goes mental. And the only through line is that she goes mental because a friend died, and that's about it. Just like there was no reason for her to start saying she hates her. I don't know why that's in the film.
It's just not good. It's not good. So what I'm getting is like there's kind of a rushed thing. I mean, we might as well fix this film. Imagine the film started with like a pan through the house, just sort of introducing you to who everyone in it. You've got nice photos of Suna looking really good, like all her achievements, and she's set up like that. And then you carry on, and maybe the next photo she's looking a bit less happy. And then you come up to the door of the room, and it's like that's established there's a barrier. Suna is in that room, but you can't see her. But you kind of seen she looks less and less happy in the photos, and that establishes it. And then you start to deal with her into how she's shut away, how her situation is worsening. As we start to learn, you know, we can have the flashback of the friend slitting her face open or whatever. There we go. Look, we've got to have this scene. I love this scene. We need that, right?
Yeah.
And we can find out like 15, 20 minutes in that, probably 15, that this is why Suna has locked herself away in response. And that just seems a bit better than spending 30 minutes with someone who is we think is the main character but who isn't, and ultimately doesn't have that much effect on the movie.
I mean, who had that much effect? I don't want to say like nothing happens in the film, but they try and like connect all these kind of set pieces together where people die.
Yes,
and it's just and some of the potentially best deaths aren't even on screen. Like you can do interesting things with being killed by a train, but
yeah, definitely. I mean, the train death would have been brilliant to see. I mean, the impact from like actually seeing the bully actually fall to her death. You know, you can do the whole thing where you can cut off at the very last second the impact bit, but you know, just I would have found that more interesting than some stitching coming off a friendship pillow.
Oh
thing.
yeah, what was that?
Yeah, and you're telling me there's no supernatural stuff. You're telling me a bit of wind can completely undo weaving. What?
I thought that was
like
meant to imply like a supernatural element that they then decided wasn't there.
It's just like
I think they were just trying to be artsy, and I'm like, well, this is stupid.
Peak wank is what it was.
Yeah.
There were good bits in this. They just, as you say, there's lots of stuff just happens. Okay.
You know what? To be fair, the twist at the end with it being, like the whole twin, being you're not twins, but being a sister
Sisters.
who snuck away into the house and caused all this palaver was a good twist. But the problem is everything leading up to that was so poorly structured.
Yeah.
Dialogue was just awful. It just made you go, "Huh, it's a good twist." Shame about the rest of the
Absolutely.
film.
Absolutely. There's so much good stuff about. Okay, so the seclusion aspect of Hikikomori is reasonably well done. There's lots of we never see Suna. Oh gosh, it's Hikikomori. Yeah, I feel weird. We're just seeing disembodied bits of her. That's a really good symbol for how she's depersonalized and shut up. And then with the twist, it's like, oh, it wasn't Suna at all. It was her sister. It's like, okay, that's pretty clever. How did you deliver this so ineptly?
Yeah.
When you talk about extraneous bits that aren't really used, I'm gonna have to look at the name again. I'm so terrible at this.
Make up her
Yunni,
name.
the fiance, right? The fiance is there because she is an expert in the old hikikomori. She's got her big brain on it, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and
Convenient.
she mentions like don't provoke them because they can get worse as well at one point.
She basically has no other impact on the story, though.
Yeah,
does she?
she's literally a plot device. Yeah.
I kept forgetting she was in the film at points.
It sort of seems to me like the hikikomori expert might have a lot to say when her potential stepdaughter is going full hikikomori. Sorry, guys, I struggle with that one. It's
call them loners.
why have her? Yeah, well, I
Loner.
don't like loners. I like shut-in.
I like
I've got her
loners.
shut-in.
Fine. Either one will do.
All right.
But yeah, just I mean, this is what I mean. Who really had a massive impact on the plot? These didn't feel like real people. And yeah, with the twist at the end, when it was all recontextualized, the only thing that actually really changed anything was that Suna had a reason to, cause mayhem in the house, for lack of a better term. But even like, it doesn't do much more than that. There wasn't anything really clever done with kind of the both of them being there. Like, with in Hot Fuzz where they're doing the chase scene with the cloaked people and they seem to be getting faster and faster and further away, and it turns out it's because it's different people dressed the same. Like, that's recontextualization that's really good. But this is just like, there's only really one scene where you need to have both of them there, but the rest of it could just be Suna. And oh god, I still can't get over the whole maid bit being put in the barrel. It's like, she tripped.
This was
so dumb.
This was a kind of consistent thing, though, wasn't it? That Suna's sort of revenge on people in the family.
Yeah.
I'd say possibly with the exception of the fall that killed the Gran, where I think they did actually try and make it scary. The rest of them seemed kind of funny and deliberately funny.
Yeah.
Which was a really weird thing to do tonally. Like, she's trying to off her Gran, she's offing the maid. It's just that was tonally massively inconsistent, right?
Yeah, and just like the dead dog with the maid as well, and it's just like, why? And all you see is like the nose.
Charlie Chieftain, if you have not picked up on this, we're not massive fans of this film, but it's interesting to discuss.
Stay tuned, guys. We might be getting our first 12 out of 12 burgers.
What do you reckon?
Could be Korea's attempt to demonizing learner stereotypes to contract to socializing.
Speaking of demoralizing loner stereotypes, who watched this morning?
Oh gosh,
I'm not convinced.
They use language like based and
red pilled and cucked.
Wow, that is very based.
It's quite hilarious. You got to do a video on it, Haryan. British Knight, I'd probably say the attempt to target shut-in stuff was probably alive. I mean, that was all about a guy who realized that his neat shut-in lifestyle of being a streamer was unsustainable, and like he had to reach out to other humans and had to sort of level up in real life. That was a big theme of Alive. This, I think, was sort of topical, but the Hiki stuff was just sort of sprinkled on. I don't think it got all that deep into the story or the messaging.
It didn't humanize any of the loners at all. It made them, well, as you were shown, they have things crawling all over them. It's kind of implied it's supernatural. They're self-harming, and all they do is cause chaos to other people in the house.
One could say they were demonized.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, but that's not kind of how you get over a. I wouldn't say that's the message you should put forward if you're trying to save these people.
Yeah, I
It'll make them recluse even more.
I would think that we would get quite strong messaging about the problem of isolation in a more general way. I don't think we really got that. There was some interesting stuff early on about, people are reaching out over the internet, and that obviously fed into the twist. But there was a cool bit of symbolism that I thought something was going to happen with.
What was
Excuse
that?
me there. So Haryan's mum. So Haryan, if you're keeping up, is the bullied girl who then cut her own throat in spectacular fashion after going extreme hickey over like 2 days. So her mum is deaf, right? And the mum basically then can't hear what Haryan is saying because Haryan has locked herself behind the room. I thought that was a really good symbol, a good visual explanation of like the parents do not know what's going on online. That was if you
Go on,
heard
Gatsby.
that was my.
I heard Gatsby.
Did you?
Go on, Gatsby.
I heard Gatsby. Yeah.
What do you want, mate?
You need to get Gatsby on stream, as in
If
like as an actual guest, avatar and all.
Oh, I'd love to.
Hang on, why am I that uncle guy?
Oh, I changed your name.
No, I know you changed my name, but
it's about time. I'm proper hickey show at the moment.
I don't want to be that guy. I'd rather.
Oh,
yeah, you
There
tell her
again.
Gatsby.
Come in, mate. Come in. He is pushing with this little flat face. Hang on.
Let's get some cat faces in the chat, guys. Gatsby's.
Ja, was willst du? Komm herein. Komm herein.
She's a Nazi.
Oh no.
He's not doing it. He's sorry, guys.
Does he say Kyle?
I haven't trained him
He
yet.
didn't like that.
He does high five actually. He high fives and he gets up on his back legs. He's very sweet. I'll get a Gatsby video up for you one week, guys. What did you think of that symbolism of the idea that the mum is literally deaf? So she's it's that she's cut off from what's going on in a kid's life. What do you reckon?
I didn't get that.
About being deaf.
Yeah, I thought it was a good symbolism for the parents just don't know what's going
deaf.
on.
I thought you said death.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
bad pronunciation. Deaf.
What are you, deaf? Anyway.
No, we're saying to Haryan while you were looking for my favourite teacher that because he was like, I didn't know whether or not she was deaf or not, and I'm like, yeah, because obviously they weren't using sign language; she was lip reading.
Well,
it was an interesting usage of someone with a disability like that, because obviously there's absolute carnage going in the room, like on the other side of the room, on the other side of the door, and she's just sitting there like smiling away, knitting or whatever it was she was doing. I thought that was pretty cool.
But
bad film.
A fantastic use of that, by the way, of sort of a well-rounded disabled character, in this case, death.
True horror.
That is used really well. I would say my brain's gone blank. Hush, and also Red Dragon. It's quite relevant to the film Red Dragon. But Hush is pretty amazing if you want something like that. So I thought that was a bit of good symbolism, and that had some power to show that why might they be going hickey? Well, parents just don't know they can't communicate with them effectively. They don't know what's going on in their lives.
Yeah, the parents are basically boomers.
So much is happening online that they don't know about, because Hajun's starting off talking about this really horrible thing that is happening to someone she met through the internet, and parents just are not in that world.
Yeah.
As evidenced by this morning.
No.
Well, it's like that with my parents. They don't really get my whole online life. It's like, so when I met up with all of them in Manchester, they're like, "Oh, how can you be friends with people you've only met online?" And it's like,
Oh, we're not friends. Come on.
oh, okay, sorry. How can you be acquaintances?
No, we're not even acquaintances. We're business associates.
How can you have
This is
business?
a classy professional channel, Haryan, you know.
Professional? I'll take classy.
Yeah.
You make a good martini.
I do. I make a great martini. Oh, do you know how tempted I've been to do a martini stream?
Very.
Yes.
You can tell it's an uninteresting film because we keep getting sidetracked.
Well, there's a lot to say, but it's not like I've got something to fix. Like there's so much to fix that
it's just naff. The best way to fix it was just not to release it.
Well, I talked about dump the whole Harjun plot. You do not need it. That you should start with the worry of why Suna is locked in from the start. That should be a much more escalating threat rather than she's a really cool, popular dinner lady / student / lesbian / sister / niece. One day to she's stick of the dump. Well, do you remember
she's definitely bi-curious, at least. Come on.
We were saying pre-stream that we were so confused about her because we thought she might be a dinner lady, and then it was like, oh no, she's a student, and that's one of her duties.
Prison duty.
That's fine. And then I thought she was Hajun's sister. Like,
yeah, it took me a while to get. Yeah, it took me a while to get behind that, get me head around the relationship between the two of them.
I mean, I worked out pretty quickly that they were friends, but I thought it was weird that it was a dinner lady doing that, and then I'm like, wait, that looks like a school uniform though. Why do dinner ladies wear uniforms?
When that first scene happened, and obviously you had a bitch lady going after Sunya. Well, the first thing was like, hang on a minute, you can't talk to dinner ladies like that.
Yeah, I thought it was weird because but
and then
I assume it's a Korean.
Yeah, and it was uniform.
Yeah, I assume it's a Korean thing, but
yeah, I think we're learning more about the Korean culture. Isn't that nice, guys? Isn't that nice?
It's lovely.
I just wish they could make a good film.
Yeah, they do that right, and then we're all good.
Yeah. The other thing, tell you what, something I thought was seriously good, or well, a high point of the film, let's say. I actually thought the film was really good at getting a visceral reaction from me, from its gore and from the sort of grime. Like the sound design of when we see the shut-in version of Hajun, where she's really grubby and she's... Oh, this is interesting. I'll finish the thought first. Sorry. She's really grubby and she like fiddles with the hair and like cockroaches come out.
Yeah.
Beyond the Pale, Google lollipop ladies too. You'll have a gay old time.
Hey.
That's a Google.
It was like that stream where people didn't know what geezer was.
Oh yeah.
I thought, is Beyond the Pale American or?
No, Irish. Irish.
Oh, the Irish don't have dinner ladies.
Wow.
They put
well, I guess they just eat raw potatoes.
Potato ladies?
Yeah.
Savage. All right. So, I mean, I wanted to run out the bike, so I thought, I really thought it was like disgusting. I had a proper shudder reaction where she messes with her hair and cockroaches come out. There are lots of gore shots that actually got a really strong visceral reaction from me. So, like, did that work for you?
Yeah, in some bits. But can I just mention what was her name? Hung Ji. What was her name?
Bezzy.
Describe the role.
The Bezzy, the best mate.
Oh, in the start.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hajun.
Sorry. Did she deteriorate within the space of a day?
Yes.
Yes.
My God. So basically, what their house must have been roach infested from the outset.
Drove me crazy.
I mean,
Annoyed the hell out of me.
literally happened within the space of a day. I'm like, there's no way you look that dishevelled after a day.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot about this film that was annoying.
I mean, she must have collected the roaches on the way home after, getting.
And I think the whole it's kind of implied that it. I mean, they're obviously CGI'd, but to me, it was like they were just trying to exaggerate kind of the Hikikomori's kind of situation, and it's you don't need to do that. You can just have a room as a bit of a mess, and you could have just had her pulled out some of her hair. You didn't need the roaches or anything. But then when she killed herself, like they all came from like under it, and I'm like, what the hell?
There's a key tradition in horror of decay, right? Worsening, exacerbating, especially in body horror. So if I give you an example, your classic example would be The Fly or Feed from 2005. We do have a body horror arc on the list. I do want to do one of them. So where did Feed from 2005, bit less known. Thinner from hero of the show, Tom Holland, not the scrumptious twink, the other one. He did Thinner, which is all about this massively obese lawyer gets a gypsy curse put on him and he starts dropping weight no matter what he does. And a lot of the film's value is like, this guy's getting dangerously, unsettlingly thin. How far is this going to go? That's the kind of energy this should have worked on. Instead, we're like, nice looking, good, reputable girl, cave troll. In like one day, instantly.
1 day.
Just one, she's Chelsea Flower Show one day, she's Scouse the next. Like just instantly. English to West English in less than 24 hours. It's I mean, they get into a nasty, nasty state. Like, play off that. Take your time with it. Take 20 minutes and a bunch of scenes to have that transformation.
Yeah. Less dinner scenes and opera performances. Like what?
Yeah, she just instantly goes to cramming her. I don't know if Haryan did tell you, like when she gets the news of what's going on, and we realize after that we've seen the whole film that basically she'd met up with her secret sister, whose name I've given up on at this point. It's going to be Secret Sister, and it's
the SS.
Oh no.
Oh,
disavow guys.
Disavow.
And she goes, we literally 5 minutes after the last dinner scene where everyone's nice, the grandma is in this beautiful traditional Korean dress, which is just amazing. I was so fascinated by it. She comes in, she's got this weird news, and her response is to go like primordial and just be like stuffing her face in a disgusting way. It's like,
yeah, she would turn into an animal in like a day, basically.
It's too quick. It's way too quick. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Use of a good premise, darn it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, obviously she's going to get depressed after her best friend dies and she feels it's her fault. She might, again, the bully just had no impact on the story either, really, apart from getting it going. But yeah, no one cared after she died. Could have seen her be affected in a different way, though. What's the difference between a popular girl suffering this and a less popular girl, maybe suffering the loss of someone?
Yeah, like I mean, she could have had her own demons, her own character. There could have been a character in that could have been explored, but no, she was just bully girl.
But if you're gonna rewrite this, actually have Suna, try and haunt what should the bully.
Or maybe the bully could go under, and Suna could be trying to help.
Well, I'd have it that Suna blames the bully for it, and then so tries to like haunt her and ruin her life and whatever. But I don't know. I don't know how you make that make sense either, but I don't think that would be as hard as trying to make sense of this film. So,
Well, you can make it supernatural.
you
I
don't
mean,
need to do that. I
Lucy's
think.
sister arc.
I like that they played with that. Like they clearly set you up. They mentioned curses early on. They and several times, and
I
there's
curse you
enough.
in death.
Yeah, there's enough to kind of make you think, and then they don't go for it. It's like that's okay. I kind of like that.
I
That's
was
fine.
I was gonna say when people are cursed, all it seems to do is make them die a day later. That's
Mm.
all the curse seems to do, and I'm like, wow, that's a terrible curse. Like, why bother?
I know, man. Even
This-
even Samara gave you 7 days.
Yeah, but I don't know. Just they try and imply there's a supernatural element to it. There isn't really. It's just
That's not bad. That's fine to play with it.
yeah, it's fine. I just don't. It doesn't add anything. It doesn't take anything
Again,
away. It's just a thing.
Again, if you know the previous hour and a half of this film was better executed, then that payoff would have been a lot greater.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just it's all over the place. It's just
So
it's. Go on.
sorry. No, go ahead, Harry.
I don't know. So I was just going to say it seems to be going from one person dying to the next dying, and that the film's just trying to string deaths together, and it doesn't do it very well.
You're not caring about these people, and when some of those deaths are deliberately shot to be comic, you're really underplaying it. So,
like potential stepmom not dying in the old drum, but then just randomly being found dead in a bed. It's like you should have killed her off like 3 scenes ago. Instead of whoops, I tripped. Whoopsie daisy.
Well, that was the
silly
maid
of me.
in the
the maid, yeah.
maid.
But it could have been
Yeah, I know what you mean.
it could have been stepmom in there, you know.
yeah, but doesn't. Hang on, if I've just realised, if the maid's alive, why didn't she tell anyone that Suna was like looking through saying she deserves to die?
I'm pretty sure they just carted her off. Like,
Yeah.
she went to the other, like, she went to crazy incest uncle's other mansion because that's where he sends the gardener.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm super. Well, I'm convinced that the groundskeeper was actually speaking with a Korean Scottish accent, which is why he sounded so different to the rest of the cast.
It was a bizarre performance.
It was really.
Yeah.
And then he sends him off there.
Fez, I mean, you might be a little harsh there. If you think of like the Vesper Martini, that's traditionally got sweet vermouth in. Like that's got what's it, Lillet Blanc instead of standard dry vermouth. And a Vesper is a very nice summertime drink. Although very controversial whether you put the olive in or not. Sorry. Did you guys say if the gore worked for you?
Yeah. I liked. I mean,
it made me laugh.
Yeah, in some bits it made me laugh, but there were other bits like when he, when the guy whacked his head, back of the head, and it looked like for a second he was dead, and you just see the blood sort of drooling out.
Well, that was a boatload of blood.
Yeah.
I don't think he's being healthy after that.
How did you feel about the scene in the fiance's office where she has a client come in and it's this deranged looking boy, and then she notices there's blood under the table?
God, I forgot about that.
That freaked me the heck out. Like that got a good reaction from me.
I mean, by that point, I checked out from the film. I'm just like, what the hell is he doing? Why is he being mental?
I'm not going to lie. I think at that point I was watching it just to talk about it tonight. It was...
I think even if I was involved, it's a random kid being mental. I'm like, okay, this is a thing going on.
Oh, was that at the end of the film? You mean when he's like rubbing the?
It was midway through, wasn't it?
It was midway. It was quite a quick, nasty scare, but to be honest, we didn't really need it at that point. No. We just had a couple of them.
Yeah, again, it was just another scene that just wasn't needed. Like it wasn't memorable. I forgot about it
because they didn't use the fiance well. It's like, gosh darn it, you've got a Hikikomori case. She's an expert. Maybe have her engage with this. It's very weird. I mean, I think we've probably summed up some of the elements here. That there's good ideas in here, but my gosh, there is such poor plotting, poor pacing and unnecessary elements and clashing tone that
and
it's all over the place.
Like the through line of the plot just isn't really there. It's and then the twist doesn't really recontextualize anything. All it does is like tell you why Suna's been doing what she's doing, but that's basically it. But that's not a good twist then. A good twist is like it'll recontextualize a lot more than one person's motivation. So,
well, in fairness, I'll give you it did that actually. The twist recontextualizes why we see Suna as disembodied limbs so often, like in the bit where where have I got it with her and the knife? Sorry, like lots of shots are just disembodied bits of Suna, and it, I thought it's depersonalization, but it's actually because it's someone else, and that's a nice little trick. We never see her face in this scene, so that was kind of good, but it's not enough. I guess I wanted to. Oh, sorry, Haryan, if you got more, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was going to say as well when she pushed her grandmother off the ladder. If she didn't say sooner, I'd be like, oh right, that's why it wasn't an issue pushing her down then. But yeah, she actually says sooner, so at that point you can assume why would she say sooner if she didn't see sooner? But then it's like, oh, everyone confused them anyway, because at the end, obviously the dad sees sooner until he actually grabs her arm, and then it's the sister. So maybe it could have been that as well, but that's not made particularly obvious, I thought.
No, there are one or two bits where, like, on reflection, I was like, oh, okay, it was set up so it could hint at that, and it's like, it's okay. It's just there was too much else going on. Yeah, so that was nicely done, but it was buried in a lot of really inept decisions. Do you want to guess the Rotten Tomatoes on this bad boy?
97%.
I've only got an audience score.
Mid-70s, I'd say.
No,
I'm going to say 27.
No critical score. Audience score 32.
Really?
That's 5% off. Wow.
That's a lot lower than I thought.
How did I'm not sure I've got much more to say about the particular plot of this story, but I was just wondering if you guys had picked up anything about Korean film after the three you've seen that you think is interesting.
They're all crap. No. Oh, come on! None of these have been good.
They're very.
Tale of Two Sisters.
The acting, I will say, is very eccentric. They're all very similar.
Yeah.
The women are very easily startled, and also almost very submissive.
Yeah, melodramatic, you might say.
Yeah, melodramatic. That's the right word. I'd use that word. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go with that. I'm sort of cautious about it because there was a thing that I got a bit annoyed at Roger Ebert for when he said he was very dismissive of Korean cinema, and he said, like, I haven't seen any Korean films that aren't hyper violent, and I'm like, I mean, to an extent, dude, it's like we think of like the Japanese films as super weird, but it's almost like the market for Japanese films in America and the US is for the weird stuff, and so those are the films they send us, and it's like there's sweet Korean films, but the market was for this quite stylized ultra-violent stuff, and that's what they send us, so it's kind of like an artificial choice. Like we got from Park Chan-wook, we got his Vengeance trilogy, but they didn't make as much of an effort promoting the absolutely adorable I'm a Cyborg and That's Okay. It's very cute. By the way, speaking of Park Chan-wook, in this scene that I've got up here, did you notice it take the music from Old Boy?
I don't know what that is.
Don't know what that is either. No.
Hang on, what? You haven't seen Old Boy?
No, that might be a future episode.
Chat, say it with me. Emergency Old Boy stream.
I don't know if chat know what that is.
Chat, no. Chat.
Question marks in the chat.
Chat, I want a beast in the chat if you've seen Old Boy.
Guarantee Mergoot knows what Old Boy is, and Rory Herbert is probably related to the entire cast.
Well, I don't think Rory Herbert's Korean, but
You just
To be
bear
fair.
with, just bear
It's
with.
gonna.
Bear with.
I believe that it's gonna come in. People are gonna be posting Beast. They're gonna be posting Mido. They're gonna be posting hallway fight. I believe in you, chat. I believe you're educated, cine literate fans.
They're
who
scrambling
love
to IMDb as we
Oldboy.
speak.
Okay, I think we might have to do it. I don't know when, but we are going. I think we'll do it. If you guys haven't seen it, I think you'll have a good time. Chat is. I don't know if I've set the delay too big, but I'm not seeing support from chat for an old boy stream. My heart's a little broken.
Me and Haryan win. Woo.
All right.
as
So-
usual.
Yeah,
Oh.
so I realize we're going to be generalizing a little bit here because we're going to respond to the films that are made more available to us. This film was not really made available to us, which was why I was kind of interested. This wasn't on Prime. You couldn't buy this anywhere. We had to stream. There it is. They're all coming in.
Told you Mergut would know.
Mergit, you I love you. It's all happening. Fez knows what. Good man. Good
There you
man.
go.
All right, this is happening.
How many was that though? How many people was that?
That's a good number. That's a good number. I'll take it. That's all I need.
15 currently watching. Me and Harriet still win. Woo.
They are a vanguard elite of commenters. You're all tens to me, guys. You're all tens. All right. So yeah, I just thought it'd be interesting. Like, you've seen 3 at this point. We've seen Alive. We've seen A Tale of Two Sisters. You've seen this. I don't know if you guys have seen any other Korean films. No judgment.
Not intentionally.
No.
Not intentionally.
It's all right. I chose Korea because it's going out of our way. The other way was Thai, but I really have struggled to find many Thai films. I've got one I love, but Thai horror, not so many. So we're doing Korea to be a bit off the beaten path. But in terms of characterizing it, just to sort of close things off on this, absolutely agreed. Yeah, I think Korean films are quite happy to go a bit melodramatic. Like
Yes, like some of the noises they make just remind me of anime, which, by the way, I've only ever seen 2 animes. But it's like, the
it was Urotsuki Doji twice.
Yeah. But it's like go on.
2 animes and a bunch of hentai in it, Harriet.
Oh, obviously, yeah. But it's like the noises that Dad was making when he was thinking about killing himself. He's like, yeah, oh,
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's anime.
But it's very much a thing. Like, I'm just talking about Japanese. When I was, during lockdown, I started looking into learning a little bit of Japanese, and the whole mannerisms stuff. It's just second. It's natural to the language. It has meaning behind it. It sounds odd, but like it's not just sort of eccentricism. It is actually it's hard to explain, but it's very like very intentional. It's very intentional.
Yeah, incredibly ritualized. The conveying the levels of formality you can use to correctly indicate respect. The length you bow for. Oh, I love it.
It was in Japan. They obviously they carry a lot of business cards. It's very sort of common for people to have business cards, and you have your business card sort of like case with all of them stashed. And they said that one of the worst things you can do in terms of mannerisms is if you collect someone's business card and then you stick it in your back pocket. That is a big no-no, because essentially you're sitting on their name. You're disrespecting them by sitting on them. Like that business card is an extension of that person. So if you're meeting someone for the first time, that business card, you sit down, that sits on the table there in front of you, and you hold on to that until the very end, and then you put that in with your other cards. You don't ever put it in your back pocket. It's like, it's a big no-no. Something that you would just, without even a second thought, just do here. I found that really interesting.
Do you notice like that? I really liked you do see there's a strong Christianity in South Korea. You've also
I did
got
notice that. Yeah.
I love that the Gran is dressing in the old style and that they've got a very traditional thing. And I just started focusing on like how much is Western in the house. But there's clearly like the old traditions are still very present, at least in the Gran's generation. I thought that was pretty epic. I also noticed like they are quite happy to, after criticizing Roger Ebert, they're not shy about quite extreme gore, but I noticed they're very timid on sex, very timid on that in films. So like the violence will be very extreme, but I don't see as much in the way of sexual content.
Unless it's incesty, and then it's very much,
of course,
inferred.
Well,
open to interpretation.
Yeah, I mean, because you could have gone pretty blatant with a rape scene in this film, but they went kind of more the implicit route, which I appreciated because it would have just made it feel awkward.
It is. I have talked before about there are some things that you use them for horror, and it's almost like yes, they're powerfully horrific, but it's kind of hard to enjoy the movie after.
Yeah,
like it's gone a bit too far. Yeah,
you don't want rape to really be that explicit. I mean, think back to The Witchfinder. That was that's probably as explicit as we've got, and you don't really need to get that much worse than that because well, even in this one, like about as sexual as it got is when wasn't even sexual. It's when the Bezzy was being beaten by the shop owner and like her top tore.
Yeah.
But that was it. It's just
and that was when she freaked out, wasn't it? Like really the most.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking like slaps to the head, beating some bells of crap out of her, and then as soon as her shirt gets a bit ripped, she's like,
I'd point out another thing you probably notice is that like social mores are like very present in them, and I don't know if that's just because I notice them because it's a bit different to how we do things, but it seems like lots of plots revolve around proper relationships to people, like in a major way, not just like this is my teacher, but this is my teacher, and I'm too informal with them, or I'm not formal enough, or I've disrespected them. Like that seems to come in. You'll see a lot of focus on relationships in these films.
There was actually a scene. You sort of blink and you miss it when they come into class and they're sitting down. I think this is like after Gung Ho, whatever her name is. Is either missing or he's dead at that point. Yeah, I know what I did. I did it intentionally. I'm crap with names, and you hear the teacher, or it's either the teacher or the tannoy say it, and it's like, be good to your, sit down. Well, actually, sorry, they bow first to the teacher, and then it's something along the lines of, be nice to each other, do as your teacher says, be respectful to your teacher, and everyone have a great day. But very sort of emphasis, listen to listen to authority, like know your place.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because something that stood out to me in this stood out to me in Old Boy as well, is like we might sort of think the idea that it's such a refined, far more respectful culture in the schools over there, and in a way it is, but you see they've got the shocking, like the way the girls bully her is actually quite
it's brutal.
Yeah, it's really bad.
It's horrible.
So it's a waste of a good curry for a start.
It's quite interesting seeing the delinquents, and but they are also clearly telegraphed as delinquents. Something I'm working on at the moment, by the way, guys, is a video about Fear Street and the sort of ethics and messaging in that, because one of the things is like it constantly tells us like the characters we're meant to like, they're awful people. And it's really hard to get over that. I'm like, no, these are terrible people. What are you doing? Is anyone going to challenge them on this behavior? No. Okay. All right. Anyway, I've got that coming. So I would say, folks, I've said pretty much everything I want to say on Loner. So folks in the chat, get your scores out of 12 burgers based on what you've heard tonight, because I know very few people managed to find a copy of it. I don't blame you. It was hard to get your hands on. Get me those scores. Get me what you think if you would want to give this a go. We're not going to blame you if you don't. And I'll go over now to that. Oh, what is this now? That groundskeeper guy for your summary.
Okay. Peak wank. Didn't like. One or two good moments. A nice twist ruined by an hour and a half of what the hell am I watching? Wouldn't recommend. 2 burgers without the beef.
No beef. Oh,
so you just buns.
It's just the buns, and I'm picking off the seeds.
Very savage. Very, very savage. But can't be mad. Oh,
I just didn't like. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
It wasn't
scorched earth policy.
Mhm.
But scorched burger. Yeah, people are not. No kimchi. Oh yeah, I don't blame you guys. Haryan.
So I actually think that's a bit harsh. It was a bad film. And it was a lot of things just kind of happen. There were obviously massive plot holes with kind of the maid being put in the barrel, somehow the groundskeeper not having a recording of it, somehow, well, for some reason they don't actually ask her what happened or anything like that. They just, she just fell in. And then first half an hour, you say is wasted. I kind of get why they needed it to get the story going, but it was padded a bit too long. People dying and no one caring, basically. Yeah, I don't understand how Suna wouldn't be arrested after half the things that happened in that house happened, but whatever. No police in this film. You should be happy, Proper Horror Show. Despite all that, there were good bits, as it was pointed out. What a low, why she became a loner. That there is actually reason behind that. Why she wanted to kill everyone, yeah, it's fair. It's not that much better. Everyone's giving it 2. I'd say 3 burgers.
Veggie burger.
Veggie burger. I'd say 3 burgers though. Three overcooked burgers filled with cockroaches and no cheese.
Wow.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I tell you what, the only reason why I gave it 2, there was 2 reasons: that teacher and her cane.
Oof.
Simp.
Nice.
Do you want me to read out the prediction before you give yours?
Oh, go on, read the prediction.
Right. 2 out of 12. Haryan hates this film and likely laughed at it a lot. He was too confused by the plot and the switcheroo from supernatural to poorly realised conspiracy. He may also complain about the lighting, and he'll dislike the melodrama. I may get him to enjoy the gore's efficacy.
No, I got the plot through line. I wasn't confused by the plot at all. It was just crap.
Alas.
Yeah. All right, Tash, I got to the point. Jesus.
Welsh ad wrong.
Oh no, so much junkie on the Welsh. We aren't anti-Welsh here. Cymru byth. I don't know why I'm bothering. Owain's not here. What was that score then, Haryan? After
3.
my prediction, 3. Yeah. All right. I
You were
think that's fair.
close. Yeah.
Very close. I just actually, before you go, I do want to find out. What was it, Haryan? What did you say about Horror Show's prediction? If you go for For 4 being under 6 burgers. From me, I'm going to assume all Korean horror is garbage.
It is. I've not seen a good one.
Oh no!
I can only assume it's all bad.
All right, it's okay. I'm going to take heart from that. Well, for me, for my roundup, I'm torn because I think there is actually a good plot in here. There is some good elements, and I found the disgusting imagery and the gore actually effective. It got me shuddering. I found the setting interesting, but I'm being extremely generous by giving it a 4 because of those factors. I wouldn't recommend it to people, even as a point of interest. The plot has lots of elements that don't go anywhere. We switch protagonists, 2 times. The whole start can be cut out. Oh gosh, there's a lot wrong with it. So I'm being very generous with a 4, no cheese. That crime guy, do you want me to share that?
Oh no, not yet.
Okay. Tell me when.
Okay, I will do.
Okay. Well, bit damning, but we took a chance on quite an out there film that I think not many people have covered. It did not work this time, and it's all BuzzFeed's fault. However, as you've noticed, and as Haryan has said himself, I'm kind of a 2 for 2 on missing with the Korean horror arc, and I'm really, even though I think it was unjust in the case of Tale of Two Sisters, and frankly, I am scared to go out on another low. I think I need a hit, lest I end up besmirching the good name of Korean horror.
Oh, for God, fine. I actually love this film. 12 out of 12 there. You don't need to put me through another bloody Korean film.
However,
there we go, guys.
I
said we got a 12 out of 12. Woo.
We've got a plan. We are going to finish this arc, okay, guys? We're finishing the arc. You know how it goes. 3 films, then an audience choice. I am switching my plan for something I think will be a guaranteed hit.
Oh, you suck.
Train to Busan, baby.
Busan.
We're doing Train to Busan.
Ah.
I'm changing my plans, gosh darn it. Train to Busan.
Train to Busan 1 or 2?
First one. I
Yeah,
cannot
I
vouch
know.
for the second. I have not seen Peninsula.
Okay. Can we get this for free?
Yes.
Is it on Netflix?
This was a breakout international hit. Okay, this would be one of the Korean films that people know. You will have no trouble finding this. I believe it is on Netflix, and if not, it will be easy to get a high quality copy of it.
Sweet.
There you go, folks. That is the horror homework. Next week is going to be Train to Busan. I have changed my plans purely so I can defend the good name of Korean horror, because I am a bit sad to have 2 flops in a row. So,
I mean, yeah.
Fez, did you mention Busan earlier?
I think some people did mention it. Yeah.
Okay, well done. I know someone had said it. No, that's a very different thing that people should.
Isn't that a documentary?
What's that? Empire of Dust, I think it is. It's also Tiresome Guy.
Yeah. So this is, well, from the looks of the poster, it looks like a kind of zombie apocalypse film.
It is.
I as long as it's better than Alive, I'll take it.
Beautifully directed. Great inspiration from a lot of our films. They've taken some great elements, and there's some good stuff. The good relational stuff in it. I really enjoyed it. I think it's going to be a hit. However, that is also not the only bit of Korean cinema that is going to be discussed this week. I'm going rogue again. I know. I'm breaking off. I should advertise it now. I did create it earlier.
Harry, and I told you to tie the rope tighter.
Oh no. Where is it? I'm trying to find it, guys. This is a nightmare. As the World's End stream went so well, and we had a really good time on it, I decided I'd go rogue again and do a non-horror film. We're going to be covering Parasite on Thursday. That is this Thursday at 8 p.m. That's a good time for us. Unfortunately, I know Haryan and that crime guy are busy. Alas.
I also just refuse to watch another Korean film.
I can understand that. I'm going to win you over next week. I'm going to totally win you over. But we have Mitch returning. Actually, both Mitch and Zen are returning friends of the channel. And we've got Tyler Hummel, a conservative film critic, is going to be in as well. And we're going to discuss the interpretation of Parasite.
Nice.
Hang on, is this did they make an anime based on this? Because I know that there was an anime called Parasite.
You think of Parasite Eve, maybe?
I think it was just called Parasite.
Yeah. I don't know actually. No, it's not related to an anime. It's it's a film, and we kind of kicked this stream off because the sort of official narrative about the meaning of the film was quite at odds with how we'd all experienced it, and we sort of, hang on, what? That's what we're meant to take away from this. So yeah, that's why we're having this stream. If you haven't seen Parasite, it's an absolute banger. It's on Prime. You will find it very easily. It only went and won an Oscar back, but deservedly, you know.
I'll say that doesn't really mean much nowadays.
Not really. I'm trying to bring it. Fez, no, it's not. It's not. That's what the director says. I do not believe him. We are going to be challenging that interpretation of the film. I do not believe that the film supports it. So, with that said, because I'm getting a little bit of a warning about the strength of the stream, apparently we're fine. With that said, that's everything I have got this week. So you know your horror homework for next week is Train to Busan. You can pop in the Thursday stream on Parasite. And with that, I will thank everyone in the chat who's watched live, everyone who's watched on the recap, and thank my co-hosts. Haryan, anything to shill, sir?
I've not had time to make a video this week. Hopefully I'll have time to make one tomorrow. If not, I'll definitely do my best to make one later in the week. But even if I don't make one this week, I will be on Tailed Feature stream tomorrow at 10 o'clock for regional variations. I mean, the news is just crammed with Afghanistan, so it's quite hard to find anything I actually care about.
Trampolines, bumper cars.
Well, that is funny. I may look into that.
We'll do something on the clip from Good Morning Britain, please. It's so funny.
What was on Good Morning Britain?
No, it was this morning.
Oh, sorry, was it this morning?
This morning, yeah.
What was that? I missed
this was the woman who allegedly managed to infiltrate into some sort of incel community and thinks that the words like based, triggered, cucked, red pilled are like exclusively like incel terms. It's like that's internet language. Just I
might go through some articles and videos then of normie mainstream media people trying to understand our based and red pilled communities.
Normie is also an incel word.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah. Oh, Haryan, famous incel.
Yeah. Well, that tiresome guy, famous incel.
Yeah.
Married, 3 kids, such an incel.
All right, and that tiresome guy.
You can share it now.
Can I? All right, here we go.
Here's my channel, guys. Do you like true crime? Because if you do, then you should come and check out That Crime Guy. Released a new video yesterday, a tragic story about a lovely old man called Peter Wrighton. I have some playlists available for you guys as well. You can start from chronological order, work your way from the beginning right up until the end. Speaking of ugly ducklings, this one here, I consider my ugly duckling. Put a hell of a lot of work into this. 8 months ago, 5 from 1,000. Do your duty. Or you can start from the latest, go all the way back. What's this?
Oh, Oh, so organized.
You want to watch some past horror show podcasts? Well, then jump right into my channel. You can find them all here. Also, some collaborations and popular uploads. We're almost at 2,500 as well. And
Kiss
also
ass.
last night. Yep, keep going. You're just mad I'm catching up with you, my dude. But and also last night we also did a little bit of a stream. Monday nights I normally do a bit of gaming as well. Last night was the third case of CSI Fatal Conspiracy. That was also with Zen. Had a right laugh with that, and yeah, just much fun. So come and check it out, and I look forward to seeing you there. Also, one of my personal favorite streams that we've done on the channel, besides this one, was our laughing at the Florida Man. Dude, we have got to do that again at some point.
More
That was
Florida
good.
Man.
I
That was
enjoyed
so
that.
good.
Yeah, that was so good.
Ah, fantastic.
So yeah,
Fantastic.
that's me shilling over. Get it.
Expert shilling. Expert shilling. All right. Well, thanks very much, you guys. You know, we took a gamble on this one. It did.
Turn your phone off.
Sorry. I can't. All right. All right. Shush. We're gonna finish the stream. Stop bullying me. Think
So
about it.
unprofessional.
All right.
Right. Go on.
Time to
Finish it off.
we
Finish
cracked
off
up.
then.
Gonna finish up. Guys, you're awesome. Thanks again, Haryan and that crime guy. Thanks everyone watching
Sorry.
live and on the catch up. More streams coming soon. Subscribe if you aren't subscribed already. Smash that like, drop that like onto a fountain.